I'm going to close this and restart. Oops, I think I just closed my, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to close this and restart so that you have it all from the beginning.
Awesome.
First thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you the other way to open this, is I can go File, New File.
Okay.
And that's all right. And then I'm going to go File, Place.
Okay.
And I'm going to go find that image. Yours is going to be saved on your drive. Mine is on my work folder. Courses, Illustrator, Tutorials, Minions. Okay, so I'm grabbing the JPEG, right? Which you can get off the internet or wherever you're going to get it.
Yeah.
I'm going to place it into my file here. Okay? All right, so I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to lock that layer 1 so that I can't make any changes to this.
Okay.
That's locked. Make layer 2 active.
Yep.
Okay, so yours is going to be a little different, but I need to create a rounded or a pill kind of shape. I'm starting up on the left, I'm aligning this X and this Y kind of coordinate visually to get this right. Okay, and on your version of this, you get these little targets here that you can drag and change the radius. I can't do it dynamically like that, so I've got to do 2 separate ones. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make another one of these, but I'm going to make the radius, right now it's 90. I'm going to make it a little bit less, maybe 75. Right, and you can see now that the radius is a little different, right? Like it's a little wider. It's still not quite correct, so I'm actually going to delete that and do it again. And I'm going to make it, say, 65 maybe. And that's good. Okay, so that now matches pretty well, I'd say. All right, so now I've got 2 shapes. I want the top to be this and the bottom to be this.
Right.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my direct select tool and drag all of this down. Okay, all I've done is just move these 4 down.
Right.
But it hasn't changed anything here because I don't care about that. I'm going to drag these 4 up. And then I'm going to turn them into one shape.
Cool, okay.
Using my Pathfinder. I just want to make sure that this is aligned. Great. Drag, Pathfinder, and Unite. Okay?
Great.
There. Okay, so if I go Command Y now, I've got my pill shape.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so let's move that out of the way. Now, there's a couple things I can do. I can start by making this yellow, so I don't need a stroke on this. You'll notice that this is just yellow. So I'm going to turn off my stroke, but I am going to change this to a yellow. I'm going to show you a better way to get the correct yellow, which is this eyedropper tool.
Right.
I just click on it, and now it's the right yellow.
Wow, okay.
All right, so there's our pillbox shape. The next thing I want is this like pants shape, overall shape. So I'm going to make a copy of this yellow by holding Option on my keyboard while my selection tool is active. Option on my keyboard. I'm going to drag this over and put it kind of roughly in place. Actually, it doesn't have to be in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'll make another shape just to make it easier to work with. And in fact, I'll make it the right color. Okay. Then what I want now is I also want to only keep this shape, right? So I'm going to, because I know that this is aligned along the bottom, it's pretty close, I'm just going to go and make a rectangle. And I'm going to use this line as the top of my rectangle and have them overlap. With me?
Kind of,
I've got this shape
Yes.
and this shape.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the 2 shapes, hold Shift to select both of them, and I'm going to intersect, leaving me this shape.
Okay.
Okay, let me undo that for a second.
Okay,
so I created this.
Yeah.
I moved it out of the way.
Yeah.
I used this line of his pants
Right.
to create a rectangle. Because I want this, I want the top edge of this to align with this because I want that center intersection
I
point.
see. So where they overlap, that's the only part you're going to
Okay, so I click this, I hold Shift, I select the other one, and I go to intersect, leaving me this shape.
Okay.
Okay, and that should be about right.
Okay.
Okay, that looks right. And because I used this as my initial point, this curve is exactly the same as this curve, which means I can actually drag this and it's going to snap right into place on his pants.
Well, okay.
Okay, because I used this as the initial starting point,
Yep.
and then I overlapped that rectangle over it.
Okay.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I need this rectangle here, because I'm going to just basically place it over like a piece of cardboard cutout. I'm going to just, I might zoom in a little just to make sure it's accurate. So I'm going to drag a selection, go to my rectangle tool, and drag a rectangle. It can be bigger. It doesn't
Okay.
have to be exact, because I'm just going to drag it over like this. Okay. Go back out to 100% by double clicking my zoom tool.
Okay.
And then I'm going to bring this to the center,
Right. So the anchor points snap together.
right?
Okay.
Hold shift to select the pants and turn them into one shape.
Okay.
And now I've got
Great.
a really simplified version of those pants.
Okay.
Okay, great. Next, I can approach this in a bunch of different ways, but the next thing I might do is this pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm going to use the rounded rectangle tool. My curve is probably my corner radius is probably going to be wrong. Actually, it's not bad. So I'm going to kind of just eyeball it. And that's not bad. I'm going to pick up the right color with the eyedropper tool.
Okay.
And then I'm going to again use the rectangle tool. And I could either do it this way, the way we just did, which is the intersect tool, or I can instead do this where I have this one, and let me change colors just so you can see the difference. Okay, the pill is behind the rectangle. I'm going to select them both and use Pathfinder to remove front or
Okay.
minus front, leaving with just that shape.
Okay.
And there's my
Great.
pocket. Move it down a bit. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
good. Rectangle. I'm going to create a rectangle here. And I'm going to use another rectangle here and a circle. So let's just zoom in. Z on your keyboard is the zoom tool.
Okay.
So I'm going to make a rectangle around that shape, and that's a circle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Command 1 to go to 100%. And again, I'm going to eyeball this. I'm going to make it kind of about that big. I'm going to go to my move tool, place it roughly in position, and then I'm going to rotate it by going object, transform, rotate.
Okay.
Or you can just, once it's selected, you can put your cursor here
Right.
and just rotate it.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
I need it to be around there. And I'm going to put a dark blue circle. Yeah, dark blue, almost black. Yeah, that's going to go like right. Okay, another thing. Remember we talked about registration point? If I click here and start dragging, it's going to drag to the right and down, starting from this point where I started my clicking. That's the registration point. But if I would know that I want the center point to be here,
Right.
I think it's option. Yes.
Yeah.
Notice the registration point now is this line.
Right. Okay.
So I say option, I hold shift to make it a perfect circle,
Right.
and then I let go, and there's my
Okay.
center point. I'm going to change this to like a dark blue. Good. And I might actually just use the arrow keys on my keyboard to okay, command 1. All right, and we're looking pretty good. I'll zoom in. I'm going to select this, shift to select that, option to make a duplicate.
Right.
I'm going to just rotate the whole thing and place this
Perfect.
here.
Okay.
I don't know exactly where it has to be, so I'm going to get the angle right. Okay, notice this red, this is called a bounding box.
Right.
Or I think I've called it a transform gizmo. I'm going to rotate it so it's the right angle that it should be, like roughly. Okay, good enough. And place it here, but notice that this is not square anymore, right? Because I've rotated it, right? I say I want it there, but I don't want this to be all wonky like this. I can go object, transform, reset bounding box, and it's going to square that up without changing. So it just changed the bounding box.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, so that's okay. And I might do the same thing here. Yeah, that one's okay. Yeah. Okay, good so far?
Yep.
Questions?
Nope.
Good. Command 1, 100%. And I always get my students to save their work. So file, save wherever. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. Next, I might do these bands for the eyes. So I'm going to go again, right, rounded rectangle tool, and I'm going to probably zoom in so I can see roughly where it is, and that's just going to be a big long rectangle. Then I'm going to eyedropper,
Okay.
and then I'm going to hold Option, make a duplicate, go eyedropper, and pick up the other color.
Okay.
Okay, now my colors are acting a little wonky because this is CMYK,
Okay.
which I haven't talked to you much about.
I know the gist of it.
The difference is
that this
basically
is better for print and
yeah.
RGB
Yeah,
for web.
I should have changed this to RGB, but I won't bother.
Why would you need to for this?
You don't need to.
No.
This is going to be screen printed. I'll probably save it as RGB. But okay, so there's the bands, and that's actually a little short. So I'm going to select this one, hold Shift to select the other one. I'm just going to bring the whole thing down in line. That looks a bit better. All right, that's a bit better. And now I need to do these eyes. So here's where we get into that whole conversation about cardboard cutouts.
Right.
What's the easiest way to do this? Well, if you look at this as cardboard cutouts, how would you create this?
The big white circle.
Yeah, there's a big white circle. Then there's a
The
gray.
yellow.
It looks like there's a gray circle.
Right.
There's a
oh,
white
I see.
circle,
Yep.
Then a gray circle that's offset by a little bit. There's also a shadow here,
Right.
which is again another piece behind all of these.
Okay.
So I would go shape 1, which is this kind of sickle
Yeah.
shell, so sickle shape. Then this, maybe the white one,
Mhm.
then the gray one.
Mhm.
Then I would do a yellow one, which is a circle, right?
Mhm. Right.
And then I would do this eye shape.
It's an oval. Okay.
Yeah. Then I would go brown circle, black circle, white circle.
Right. Okay.
Okay. There's one thing that's going to be different. Instead of doing it just as cardboard cutouts, I'm going to make this gray circle, instead of having it placed behind that yellow circle, I'm going to make it a cutout. So it's going to be like a ring, and I'm going to
Okay.
put it at the top.
Okay.
Because what that'll make it easier for me to do is create this oval and not worry about this shape. I'm going to just have the oval go outside of this, and this gray ring is going to be in front of it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that's the process the students have to do. They've got to think through what's the easiest way to do this. And I've had kids like try and draw this shape
Oh, of
and then
course.
duplicate that down here, and they can't get it quite right, and the angles are weird,
Yeah.
and they spend all this time doing that instead of breaking it down and spending. And I tell them, take 5 minutes to look at it and think about the way you're going to do it before you do it.
Right.
Right? Plan that out. Okay, so here's my process. So ellipse tool, I want to go roughly in the middle. I'm not going to do this sickle. I'm going to figure that out later. I'm going to start maybe here, hold Shift to make it a circle. And because I didn't get the registration point exactly right, while I'm holding Shift, if I hold space, I can also
Okay.
reposition. And that's about right. I'm going to let go of space, make it a bit bigger. Hold space again, realign, let go of space, make it a bit smaller. Now I'm okay.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of finicky
Yeah.
figuring out that process. I'll do it again. So I'm going to purposely be wrong on my sizing. Hold hold Shift to get the perfect circle. Hold space to realign it.
Right.
My size is wrong, so I let go of space while I'm still holding Shift the whole time. Make it bigger.
Mhm.
Hold space to realign it. And now I'm good. I let go with my mouse and I'm done.
Okay.
Okay? All right. So this is going to be that gray one. I'm going to move this out and pick up the color so I don't get confused.
Okay.
Now I'm going to make this inner circle. And again, I'm going to make my circle, hold Shift,
Mhm.
make it smaller, realign, let go of space to get the size right, hold space to realign, let go of space.
Mhm.
All right, there's about where I want. Okay, and I'm going to make this a weird color on purpose because this is going to be the cutout for these two.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to take this, hold Shift, and drag that, select these two, and I'm going to align them to each other.
Right.
Align to selection, align horizontally and vertically,
Okay.
and then I'm going to use Pathfinder to remove the one in front, which is the green.
Okay.
And now I've got the
Perfect.
cutout.
Okay.
Right, so that's going to go at the very top. I'm going to leave it over here for now because I don't need it. Right?
Right.
Okay. The next thing is there's actually a little white one, so I'm going to hold Option and make a duplicate of this. It's just off by a little bit,
Mhm.
and I'm going to make this one white.
Okay.
Okay? and that's just that little edge that you're getting here,
Mm-hmm.
and it won't show up on the inside because we're gonna have stuff in front of it.
Right.
Okay, I'm also going to open up my layers so we can see. Where's my layers? It's open somewhere. There.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay, this is the layer with this gray one, and below it is the layer with the
Right.
white one. Okay.
Right.
I'm gonna make this bigger here by going. So see this little drop down triangle here?
Right.
Okay, I can click on this and go panel options,
Mm-hmm.
and I can say make the thumbnail thing larger,
Okay.
and then it's just a little easier to see those
Right.
shapes.
Okay.
Okay, I hold space and realign. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do maybe that yellow one that's gonna
Right.
go in the back here, and so I'm gonna make a circle. It's gonna sit behind this gray thing, so it doesn't really matter the exact size as long as it isn't obscured. So I'm gonna hold shift to make a circle, align it, and I'm gonna have it around that big.
Okay.
Doesn't really matter because I'm gonna go like this, make it yellow,
Okay.
and I'm gonna place it around here, and then I wanna move it behind that gray one,
Okay.
right? So now I've got the gray cover, the yellow, which is gonna be this eyelid
Yeah.
bit, and then this white one, which just shows up as that red we
Right.
talked about.
Okay.
Okay? All right, now I need to make this kind of eye shape here. So I'm going to, again, ellipse tool, spacebar to align. Okay, now this is why that ring makes sense.
Right.
'Cause I don't have to worry about this edge
Yeah.
because it's just going to be obscured. It's going to be white, and it's going to be,
And now you move it down.
and I move it down, I'm just going to align it like there. I'm going to bring it below,
Okay.
right? And
Mhm.
I'm done, right?
Mhm.
That's really easy to do. All right, finally we've got a brown circle, a black circle, and a white circle. So I'm going to go from the center here, I'm going to option,
Mm-hmm.
click and drag, hold shift to make it a circle. That's circle one, eyedropper tool to get brown.
Mm-hmm.
Another circle, again, option to center it, shift to make it a circle,
Mm-hmm.
eyedropper tool to make it black. And finally, one that's around here, option, and I on my keyboard is the same as eyedropper. Click on the white,
Okay.
and there's my eye.
Great.
Okay? All right, command 1 to go to full size, and I'm going to drag and select over all of this. Because that background is locked, I can't pick it up anyway, so
Right.
it's easy to just drag over all of these pieces.
Okay.
As long as I don't drag onto the yellow, because that's a
Right.
separate piece. So I just kind of, as long as I've picked up all of the pieces, which I have, I've got everything.
Okay.
I can actually go object,
And group.
group,
Yeah.
and that makes it easier to just pick it up and move it around. There's his eye.
Okay.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Now that little sickle thing, I might zoom in and just kind of eyeball that. So we haven't done a lot of pen tool, but I think that's how I might, no, I'm not. I'm going to basically make a duplicate of this gray thing
Mm-hmm.
and a duplicate of this light gray rim and use it to create this, and I'm going to just place it in between. Okay, so this guy, I'm going to hold option and drag a copy. This guy, oh, I probably shouldn't have grouped it. Okay, here's an interesting thing. This is a group,
Yeah.
and we're using the move tool or the selection tool, and because I grouped it, when I select it, it selects everything.
Right.
But if I click off of it and I use the direct select tool,
Okay.
I can pick up an individual.
An individual
Because even though that's grouped, I'm picking up the direct select tool.
So you can pick up the whole shape, not just the anchor point.
Just, yes, right.
Okay.
I can actually pick up the anchor points too,
Right.
like
Okay.
this,
Okay.
right? That's modifying that within the group,
Right.
right? But if I want to, I just clicked here and it picked up everything that is related to that fill.
Okay.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy it, excuse me, click back on here and paste it, and it'll paste this guy
Okay.
outside of the group.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so now I'm just going to align it. It has to be around here somewhere, and this is around there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to cut this little corner off in a minute, but first I'm going to turn these into one shape by holding shift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I'm going to pathfinder them to unite, and then I'm going to make them this color,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm going to drag them down to below the group
Okay.
and below these two things because it's got to be behind that,
Okay.
right? Now it's coming outside. It shouldn't extend past this because it's a shadow, right?
Right.
If we look here, see how it ends here?
Right.
And the same thing on this end here, it ends here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a couple ways to do that. Probably the easiest would be, let me drag it down just so we can see it. I'm just going to go with a rectangle. There's a few ways to do it, but I'm just going to go rectangle,
Mm-hmm.
like this, select, shift select, and I'm going to say minus front
Mm-hmm.
because I think this is in front. Let me see. Yes, that's in front, so hold
Okay.
shift, use that and say minus front, cuts off that piece.
Okay.
And do the same thing on the other side over here. There are a lot of ways to do this.
course, yeah.
I'll show you another way just so you can see. I'm going to go pen tool and go to add anchor point.
Okay.
And I'm going to put an anchor point right here on the intersection between this line
Okay.
and this line. So when I do that, because I've got this object selected, it's going to add a point on that path.
Right.
I can do the same thing here. Okay, so now I've added new points to this path. I'm going to now go delete anchor point. I'm going to say get rid of this one, get rid of this one, get rid
Okay.
of this one, and now it's
Okay.
right.
The rectangle still seems easier.
100, yeah. Well, lots of ways to do everything. I bring this back up to. I'm going to pick it up by that anchor point
Mm-hmm.
so that I can snap it in position
Okay.
and then drag it down behind here.
Behind
Use
the
the
gray.
arrow key to bring it up a little bit. There. And
Okay.
there's our sickle shape and the shadow over here.
Hmm.
Good?
Perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
Command 1. So you can see why kids don't get through the whole thing in a
No.
period. I don't expect them to. Maybe they don't get some of the detail.
And this
And I'm
you're
fine
doing
with that.
together.
This
This
one we
is
do
not the
together. Yeah,
skills
this one we
test.
do together.
Okay.
Right? And once they've done this, then they have a better ability to approach that other one.
Right.
Right? And I'm actually going to go direct select. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. So notice I can select that in the group still,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I can now go object, transform, and I can scale it individually and make it like 95. Right? I just want it like a little smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I can preview that and say, yeah, that's about the right
Okay.
size.
Yeah.
I say okay, and then it's smaller
Perfect.
because
Okay.
I felt it wasn't quite right. And maybe that's still a bit too much, so I'm going to undo that and go object, transform, scale, maybe 97. That's okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
great. All right, this is something you haven't done yet.
No.
So let's look at what we're trying to do here. We want to have, imagine that this was with, like the easiest way to do this would be in cardboard, would have that yellow guy with a cutout of this mouth, have a brown rectangle back there for the
Mhm.
mouth background, and 5 little chiclets. That would be an easy
Mhm.
way to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're essentially going to do that, except instead of cutting it out of yellow, we're going to use something called a clipping path,
Right. Okay.
Okay. which is a confusing concept. So let me show you that in a separate file. No, I'll just show it to you over here on the side. So I've got a fuchsia rectangle, and I've got a, it's big, brown hexagon. I'm going to put them like this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I can make this one into a clipping mask for the other one.
Right.
Meaning, I can say, use this as a cutout to show what's behind it.
Okay.
But this no longer becomes an object, it's only a cutout, almost like matting on a photo,
Okay.
right? So I've got a photo and I don't want to cut out my photo. I just want to mat it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like, because if I cut it, I'd ruin my photo.
Right.
I
Right.
still want to have it back there.
Right.
So the matting just obscures part of it.
Okay.
So that's what this is going to do. So maybe what I should do is, whatever, I'll just show it to you like this. So if I select these two and I say, while they're selected, I right click and say make clipping mask,
Right.
it's going to use the one on top, which is the hexagon, as the matting
Okay.
or as the mat, right?
Right.
So I
Okay.
click this and you can now see that that purple square, which is still there, because you can still see it in its
Right.
outline, is being obscured by this.
So it's the
So let's move it here.
Okay.
Right?
So I'm trying
So
to visualize
I know,
this.
it's a little tricky to get. So let me undo it. Again, this is in front of this. So if right now they're just, they're not intersecting at all, or they're just over each other. If I do the same thing, right click, make clipping mask, it just shows the purple through,
Okay.
all right?
So
Now
it's
watch.
the window of the mat.
It's a window of the mat, right? So I'm going to actually pick up my direct selection tool, just so you can see, and I'm going to move, hold on, I'm going to move them. Okay, I'm now moving the purple square without moving the matting. Okay, see this hexagon? I'm not moving that. It's in the same position. But every time I do that, it changes the picture behind your window matting.
Okay.
Okay? It's confusing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
confusing. I do a lesson on this, and we talk about. I actually do Photoshop first, where we learn masking,
Okay.
which is the same idea as a clipping mask.
Right.
Okay, so let me do this in practice. Now that you've seen it, let me show you how I would use this, because that's what
Okay.
make sense. I want this mouth shape
Yeah.
to be the mat,
Okay.
and I only
window
want
of
to
the mat.
right. And
Okay.
what I want to show is the teeth and the mouth.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do that. I'm gonna do it with the pen tool. There's a few different ways to do it, but I'm gonna go pen tool. So I'm gonna click once, click twice to make that curve. Get rid of this second bezier by clicking the anchor point,
Okay.
and then going back here and closing. Okay, so I've got this Nike swoosh thing, right? Now that's purple, which doesn't help me because I want it to be brown, but right now all I want is the window for your mat. Okay, so I'm going to make a copy of this by holding Option and dragging it over here. So I'll need that in a minute, but not yet. Okay?
Okay.
Now what I'm going to do, actually I'm going to move this right off because I don't want it to, yeah, forget about that guy for now. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this window for the chiclets.
Okay.
Okay, that's teeth. So I'm going to go to my rounded rectangle tool, make this, oops, make that white, and I'm going to make one option, let me zoom in a bit here. One option, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to just use this to go align. Remember we talked about distribute objects?
Yeah.
Distribute objects makes them
Okay.
even. Okay,
Okay.
there's my teeth. I'm going to take this mouth here, and I'm going to put it over top of the teeth like that.
Okay.
I want to bring it to the front, so I'm going to arrange it. I'm going to right click on that swoosh, arrange, bring to front, okay, and then I'm going to select them all.
Okay.
And now I'm going to right click and say make clipping mask, and it's going to use that swoosh to
Okay.
hide
Okay.
the parts of the teeth you don't want. But notice there's no color. It's just the teeth,
Okay.
because the matting or the window from the mat doesn't show up as an object. It's just that window.
The cutout. Okay.
That's why I wanted a second one, because I want this one to be the mouth. And then I put this on top of that. That looks about right. Grab them both.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. It takes a while. Like, you're going to probably watch the video and be like, what?
I know.
And
I'm gonna
watch it
have to
again and
practice
watch it
this
again.
probably 10 times.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
And that's about it. I mean, these guys are pretty easy. These would be pen tool, right? So I would maybe do an oval here. I'm actually going to stop and save the video here just because I don't want it to, like, I'm going to stop it. I don't want